Christina, you've called abortion a fundamental moral dilemma. What do you mean?
Well, what I mean by that, and now I'm talking as a philosophy professor of many years, and I would teach different issues where there was a collision of fundamental values. Because, and overall, I've always been pro-choice, but I understand that some people would see it differently, particularly if they're religious and they believe that the fetus is a person. They feel that it is murder. And in the United States, it doesn't go like men versus women. There are a lot of women that are pro-life. It's a mix of men and women. It's about even. It's about the same. And in the United States, it's not going to be. We're never going to get to a point where we're absolutely sure it's an unambiguously good, and nobody's ever going to convince me it's unambiguously bad. And one reason is because there's a fundamental principle of respecting the autonomy of a woman, to determine what happens to her own body. But then there's a principle of the sanctity of life, and people who believe that the fetus is a human life, especially in the later months, they feel differently. And so that's when you get a dilemma, when you've got these two just fundamental principles. You have to make a decision for yourself, and overall, I do come down on the side of choice. But I can respect people who are pro-life. I have friends who are pro-life, and I don't agree with them. I don't completely understand it because I'm not particularly religious, and I think it's mostly religious people, not exclusively.
Well, but majority of America supports, abortion.
Yeah, a majority support it for the first trimester. If it gets to be further on,
I think again, I'm not trying to call you out per se, but I have the Pew Research data which clearly shows that majority of Americans support abortion in all cases.
Really?
Yes.
Views have abortion by religion?
That's it's a very big study, but the Pew data shows that majority Americans, this is 2018 data.
Illegal in all cases, legal in all cases.
And even within conservative arms, not necessarily the Bible Belt, but so with that, I want to ask Roxane, where do you stand in this debate?
I'm pro-choice, and I think everyone should be pro-choice, because if you don't like abortion, don't get one. It's a personal choice, and it comes down to the autonomy of women, and as long as our bodies can be legislated, we're not free. As long as a governing body of mostly men can tell women they can or cannot have an abortion, even though it shouldn't be that way. We just have an incredible problem. And as a feminist, I just think, I believe that there are lots of different ways that we can be feminists, and that we do not have to agree on everything, but I do think we have to agree on the freedom of choice. And we have to also make sure that we're being unambiguous about supporting abortion, because oftentimes people love to distance themselves from the act of abortion and say, reproductive freedom and choice, which are all good things, but what we really are talking about is that a woman has a right to end a fetus if she does not want to carry a pregnancy to term. And we have to support that right. And, I respect people's faiths. I'm Catholic. I absolutely get it. I understand why people have respect for the sanctity of life, but it's always the sanctity of everyone's life but the women who carry babies to term that we're worried about, as if women are simply meant to be vessels. And so I'm more concerned with women than fetuses.